If you're watching this right now, then you felt it. Either it was since you were a child or recently, you felt different. You felt off and you feel like you're just separated, like the odd one out, the black sheep of the family, whatever it is, you feel different. And I'm gonna talk about it. Even if it feels wrong, you're not actually supposed to try and fit in. You need to embrace that separatedness, if you know what I mean. Even if it's no longer fitting with your old friends or not fitting with your current friends or with your family, that's normal. Not everyone does, but you're not supposed to. If you're going through a spiritual awakening, it might feel even worse right now, but I promise you, it's gonna feel better. That feeling gets amplified. Today, I actually want to talk about why it's happening and why it's not a problem. Let's talk about the main issue. It's a frequency shift. It's a frequency imbalance. You're basically vibrating at a different frequency, and I actually really want to explain how important this is to know. You're vibrating at a different frequency than the people that surround you. Let's make it practical. When you're waking up, you just start questioning everything, right? You kind of question the world around you, the people you're with, your environment, you as a person. When you feel off, when you feel this way, you kind of do inner work. You start focusing on yourself and focusing inward. So far, what I've been saying, it sounds like you're supposed to do that, aren't you? The more you awake, especially in a spiritual awakening, the more you start making conscious choices. You're starting to make conscious decisions because all of the patterns around you and within yourself are becoming more conscious. You're being conscious of your patterns and the patterns of people. This is where you're actually starting to operate in a different level, on a different level of awareness. You're becoming more aware. So when two people are on two different frequencies, you're gonna start feeling that. The connection is going to start being very difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. And a lot of times you're going to find yourself exhausted trying to connect with certain people. The more you awaken and the more you're feeling and going through this process, the more you realize not everyone else is awakening like you are. Not everyone else is on the same level of awareness as you. And then that will make you feel like the odd one out. It will make you feel like you can't match with these people, and especially when it's on a rare side to awaken in that level, you're gonna feel like there's no one that is actually gonna understand you and your mind and everything that's happening. The conversations, their priorities, their way of life, their energy is just not matching with you anymore. It all just feels irrelevant. It feels like it is not really useful to you, and it feels like you're being judgmental, right? But it's just that you're somewhere else. You're not operating on that level anymore, and you need to upgrade. You need to have a change. This brings me right into my next section. What are the actual changes? Let me tell you what happens when you start feeling like you don't fit in anymore. Number one, and I talk about this a lot with my sister, and that's small talk. None of that. I cannot do small talk. I'm not gonna even start trying to connect with someone if that means going through days of just small talk and not getting deep. I am someone that now only wants to find people that I can connect on such a deep soul level. And if I find out that this person I'm just not connecting, I cannot connect any further, and I'm not gonna waste my time trying to make this connection work when it's just not gonna work. Okay, I know this now because of my awareness of this pattern, this sort of level that they're at, and mine is just not gonna happen. And I really, really dislike people. It's just the basic, how are you? What's up? What did you do yesterday? I don't like that. If I'm gonna meet someone, or if I'm gonna have a conversation and use the time of my day to speak with someone, it has to be deep, it has to be meaningful, and it has to have value. Not everything has to be deep. Obviously, you can have something very mundane. Sometimes it's good, but I don't want it to last too long. If I'm gonna be calling someone, and this is why I don't enjoy calling all the time, because calling with people, it takes a lot of my energy. It drains me, especially if I'm constantly listening and hearing stories. But if I can connect and feel like I'm gaining something and I'm also giving back, that exchange gives me energy. Small talk starts feeling meaningless, starts feeling like a waste of energy, and it doesn't feel like the person that you're talking to wants to get to know you, and you just start to question, what am I doing here? The second change, I'd say, happened to me because I started feeling conscious pretty early on as I was growing up. I'd say I lost a lot of interest of old activities, such activities like gossiping, partying, sleepovers, complaining. No, I can't do that anymore. I can't do that if something major is happening and something crazy is happening in my life, a synchronicity, and I can hear someone out if they want to complain, but I can't do that as a hobby. I can't do that as a constant activity. Some people, that's all of their life is about, drama, problems. No, I am very disconnected from that, and I just never felt like I gained anything from it. Didn't feel like I actually felt better. I started to focus on activities that really make me feel better and enriched in life, not something that makes me feel bad or negative. A third shift I noticed is you don't really relate to people as much because their problems, their issues in life become very surface level. And that's not to judge like people's problems because everyone has different varieties of problems, but a lot of the times if they just stress about the most dumb thing, to say it lightly. The thing is, I can't connect if they're just like complaining about missing the bus or they stress about things that used to stress me out, but like I've grown from that because I worked so much on my mindset and I've actually became more positive in my life. And then I started noticing how many things people complain about, and these issues are just not real issues. We create our own issues a lot of the time, and I start seeing that. I'm aware of how you do this to yourself. But I can't tell them that because they're not going to understand on a conscious level. This other change, this fourth change, is actually, I don't know if everyone actually feels that way, but certain advice feels so bad and surface level to the point it feels fake. Let me give you examples of very common advice that I feel like I should just not even tell you about my problems, right? I have a list. Just think positive. Don't be sad. Everything happens for a reason. Just give it time. Look, sometimes I know something isn't gonna get fixed because of the depth and the principle of whatever issue happened. And someone just says that, it's just like, don't try, you know? They didn't mean it like that. How I take things and I have the full context of what happened to me, I know how they meant it. And these people, when you tell them your issues and they reply like that, I just can't. You're being too sensitive. I can't. I heard that one a lot, and I've actually embraced being sensitive. I mean, either way, if that really hurt me, is that really bad? No, these people don't know what to say. If they tell you you're too sensitive, they don't want to be here for you. That's just how they are. Oh, so you're excusing bad behavior now? It's irritating because if I did something like that to someone, and not only would I not because I have the consciousness of how badly that could hurt someone, but I wouldn't excuse that. If someone told me like, what you're doing is really bad, I try to change or apologize. Not, oh, but they're like that. Yeah, that person cheated on their partner, but like they're just like that. It says a lot more about you than anything else. Ooh, this one is strong, but they're family. Now, if you saw one of my shorts I did about this, excusing bad behavior just because it's family is horrible. Nothing can excuse bad behavior, especially if it's extremely toxic or abusive. Let's be real. People put family on a pedestal and excuse horrible behaviors when if that was a stranger and they did that to you, what would you do? What would you think about it? No. I do not have that mentality. You need to forgive and move on. I can forgive and not forget. I cannot forgive and not forget and move on. I'm a person that if it's really bad, I'm not gonna forgive and I won't forget, but I will move on and work on myself and my life and not waste my energy pondering about whatever they did to me. So no, sometimes I don't have to forgive someone. I'll just move on and accept that they're a horrible person. When you've developed such a strong discernment because of your spiritual awakening, because awakening and discernment goes hand in hand. I know people's attentions. I know how badly that hurts. I know that those behaviors can be fixed and can be worked on, and I'm not going to excuse any of it. No. The worst part about this, and I think that's the main thing I felt growing up, was feeling lonely in a room full of people. Because loneliness isn't just physical. You can be in a room full of people and feel extremely lonely because your mind is just not being understood. You as your soul, you as yourself is not being understood, and you just feel like no one else gets you, and you feel like you can't prove to this person this is how you are, because only a certain amount of people are going to understand you, no matter how much information you give them. That usually is because when you're in such a different frequency, especially on a very high level of consciousness and awareness, you feel that separation in your intellect, in your mind. You feel that gap, and you just can't relate, and you can't feel understood because no one really is there in that frequency, and you don't feel like you're connecting, and it's so mental and it's very energetic. It's not something that's physical. You can be in a room full of people, which is why I love posting here, because I know people who follow me understand exactly what I'm saying. It feels less lonely. So to go in this topic of loneliness, this is where I want to get to. You're supposed to go through this because it will teach you a lot about life, about people, and yourself. When you're in the phase between who you were and you awakening, you're going to feel lonelier and lonelier and lonelier because you're going to cut people off. You're going to see how many people don't have this level of awareness you have. And you wonder, are you ever going to find your people, your tribe, your soul group? That process is long. It can take a long time, or it could not, but usually it is a process. The time that your body and your mind awakens and takes all the information you need to become a better person. That in-between space, especially in a spiritual awakening where you're isolated because you're outgrowing who you were, you're outgrowing your crowd, you're outgrowing even people in your family, and you just feel like you're alone. You're alone in this world, and it's a very daunting feeling, but it is very real. But it doesn't mean you're lonely. It just means you need to focus on yourself first, and then the right people, your soul group, they will find you in this world. And you might even have some people, one person you connect to. Might be one person you connect to now, and that's already so giving. And then you usually cherish these people way more. If you put yourself in the crowd of 20 people and they all are not awakened like you, and they don't get you on that very deep level, only surface level of who you are, instead of 2 people in front of you that get you to the core, that understand your soul. It is so much more worth it to spend time trying to find that one person than fill your space with surface level connections. So here's why you're not supposed to fit in. If you still perfectly fit into your old life, you perfectly fit to the people who you were with, your family, your environment, whatever you're doing for a long time, it actually means you haven't grown. It means you haven't shifted. It means you're stagnating. When you feel out of place, it is proof you're evolving. You're not broken. You're not weird. You're not anything like that. You're kind of breaking out of that box that you were in and finding yourself beyond the container you used to live in. But ask yourself, would you really rather just shrink yourself back down to fit in with people, or put yourself back to sleep just to fit in it? That also just doesn't feel right, does it? You can try to fit in, or you can stay awake. But when you're awake, you know that whoever you're gonna meet is going to get you and are going to be there for you. But who you're trying to fit in with don't really want to get to know you on a deeper level. They can't. You can't really connect deeply. You can't really express your soul. You're just gonna fake it. And faking it is more draining than whatever loneliness you're feeling now. Just remember that discomfort is temporary. You're gonna find your people. Whatever process you're in, whatever phase, whatever thoughts you're having, they're real, and you should listen to them, because the more you're aware, the more your critical mind expands, the more you're gonna ask yourself the correct questions. Not who did this person get with and this time, whoever, whatever. No, you're gonna be like, what am I doing in this world that gives me purpose? What do I truly value? Who do I want in my life that are here for me? Who will be there for me when I need them most? That's when you see how crazily your mind is shifting from being asleep to awakening. And it's a long journey, but there's so many people out there that are actually feeling this as well and feeling lonely, because not a lot of people speak about this. You're not losing yourself. You're perfectly fine the way you are. If this video helped you in any way, please let me know by liking and subscribing, because I speak a lot about these things, and even if I have no one else to speak about this to, I want to speak to people who are in the same position. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.